when you're in a stretch like this, do you try to pare back even a little bit more, or is it just no? We're in a
Probably,
good spot here.
probably not pare back. I think we're obviously searching for some things that'll help us, and I think we got some good stuff this week. It's not paring back. It might be a little bit more the other way. So it's gonna be fun to see how guys execute.
So you added stuff to the game plan, or added
No, maybe
added
just
more packages, or what?
maybe just a few more wrinkles to it. Yeah, I think we need that.
Talk about players' confidence and if things are going well, things aren't going well, how they react. Do coaches? Is it the same way with coaches? If things aren't going well, does your confidence ever take a hit?
I don't think any of us would ever look at it that way. I think what happens, I think naturally to players or anybody is if you're maybe you're this close or you're just missing on something, I think you just start to press a little bit. And I think our guys just need to just basically take the weight of the world off their shoulders and go out and play, and just just start slinging it around, and they're ready to do that. We made a positive step a couple weeks ago. We haven't played very very well 2 weeks on the road, so that's going to be something we'll address next time we play on the road. But hopefully playing at home and getting back and into the swing of things and all that stuff will be what the doctor ordered.
How much do you look at this with Dak and say, we're in this together, we gotta fix this together?
Oh yeah, we've been doing that since he got here. I mean, you make it sound like this guy was the first pick in the draft coming out. I mean, he's been grinding at this game pretty good, So he came in here the year we asked him to be our starter, and no expectation, and did what nobody ever expected him to do. Now the expectations rise when that happens, and so people start to put a lot of bigger weight on that. And he's the quarterback. He's got to play well. I certainly am right there with him 100% with whatever we need to do to get better as an offense and hold myself accountable. And he certainly is the most accountable guy I've ever been around. So, yeah, we're grinding. We're getting ready to figure out a way to get our second win.
Are there plays down the field that he's not seeing, or?
I wouldn't say that. I'd just say we've got to stress some of the things more, I think, a little bit, and to stress where, when we have things, if we got those plays and the guys, we feel like our guys are running and winning and doing the things that they need to do, and he sees that, and as he gets to know them and get more of a background with them, he's going to start having more success with that, I believe.
So it's a trust thing right now?
I don't know if it's trust. I just think it's experience, experience playing together. I don't use that. He trusts his teammates. He trusts everybody. I think the biggest thing is, as we all know, we've got to go out and make the necessary adjustments to get better at the things we're not good enough at yet.
What is this team's offensive identity?
What's that?
What's this team's offensive identity?
Well, we're certainly start with our run game. We have a very solid foundation for the run game, and as we are trying to become a team that has got both the run dimension and pass game, we're developing our pass game. So identities get developed as the season goes on. We've got a real young and probably inexperienced offense in the perimeter and the skill position as far as playing together. So we're still developing it, but we've got to we certainly got to get that ironed out and get better at that as we start getting into these games. We're in the fourth game of the year, and we got to see some improvement there.
You mentioned the weight of the world idea. I mean, how tough has Dak been on himself this week?
Well, he's a great competitor. I don't think he's been more tough or anything. He looks at it in the eyes of an accountable leader and says, "This is what I got to do." And we had a good visit, on the off days, and he knows, I know, we all know what we have to do, and we're all looking in the mirror and saying, "This is what we all got to do."
Everyone goes through tough times, and I'm sure you've had at other places. Is there a point of reference when you said, "This is how I fix a tough time"? Might have been Detroit or something.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's always been perfect. We've had some good times too. So I think you focus on the positive things and you focus on that. The tough times are certainly things that shape you and you learn from them. But I think you also look at this is what can help us, and that's the focus, and that's the focus we choose to have.
What do you have to do when you bring a guy like Bryce back to this team? He was here last year but missed a few weeks.
Yeah.
How long does it take to integrate him into that process?
Well, it's taking a little while. There's some new for him, so he hasn't been in a camp for a while either. He's getting himself back into into shape. He's not in bad shape. He's in good shape, but it's just the playing shape. So integrating himself into the rotation and into the competition has been what we've been trying to do since he got here. It's tougher first week. We feel like he's been more part of the competition for getting out on the field and getting closer to that. Now that he's been here for 2 weeks.
You said the receivers have gotten open. How do you keep them from getting frustrated? Allen has expressed frustration.
I say that. I'm saying they're getting open. I'm not saying they're always open. I'm not saying they're covered. I'm just saying they're working hard to get open, and there's times they've been. So we see it and we say, hey, look, you haven't played with this guy, but he runs this route pretty well, or that kind of stuff. So that's all part of it. To be honest with you, we didn't have a lot of reps with a lot of guys in training camp. A lot of guys missed the entire training camp. So in Dak's defense, he doesn't have a history with them. So that's what we've got to, I guess, accelerate with our approach.
Have you sensed any frustration?
No, I wouldn't sense frustration at all. Those guys have been great. That word gets thrown around a lot, and so becomes the headline and all that stuff. I don't think anyone's happy that we're 1-2 and haven't had. We've had a couple of days where we haven't been as good as offense as we want to be, but the guys are very, very positive. I'd say they're the opposite as far as their focus. Nobody's happy about not winning the game, but everybody's been really positive about their approach and what we have to do to fix it.
There's been a lot of talk about Dak's success. His rookie season was rooted in his mobility. Is there a reason why we haven't seen more of that this year from Dak?
I don't know if it's more. I mean, he had a good second game. I think people know it. That he's a threat, and they force the give and they don't really rush from the inside like he's a pocket quarterback. I think they shark him with a guy a lot, which is I think people look at those mobile quarterbacks and if they're smart on defense, they're to say this guy's going to really hurt you with his legs if you let him. But you can't. It's a dangerous thing to get into the deal where you just look to run and do all those things because then you're missing opportunities for the throw. So it's a little bit of I don't want to catch 22 that you don't want to take that away from him, but you also don't want to overemphasize, hey, look for the run game because you might miss an opportunity for a big throw. But Dak's maturing in that regard, and he knows people will continue to. Some teams will play him different than others, but most teams will continue to try to keep him contained from getting out. And then in the zone read game, I think what's really helped our run game. One of the reasons we have some fairly good run production numbers, even though we don't have as many carries as we like, is because they're adding a guy to the quarterback in the run game.
Is it harder to teach a quarterback to sling it and let it go, or to rein him in the other way, where he maybe has a little wildcatter to him, where he'll take some chances early?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think reining in a quarterback isn't really what you want to do. I think you got to be very, very open and honest about the things you do well and never take that away. I think it's just the thing that you learn as a young quarterback, and Dak's not an old veteran yet. He's still a guy that's maturing and growing in this game, especially at this level. Is that people start really at this level really study you, and they say, okay, one thing is don't let this guy get out of the pocket. It's really dangerous. And so as you look at it, you say, listen, sometimes they're human. Sometimes they don't play it exactly that way. So when that opportunity arises, you take advantage of it. In the meantime, operate within the pocket like he can do and does well when he's playing his best, and really go with that.
Is it basically everyone, like you say, everyone studies you, gets a better read on what your inclinations are and what you want to do, and you have to grow a little bit outside of your comfort zone, and whatever that is, one way or the other? At
times. I don't think sometimes you can give them too much credit, too. I think people will tend to play you a certain way, and then once you kind of commit to being very, very diligent about your approach, that tends to go away, and then it comes back around. So, if you have a game like he did running the football in game 2, a big part of their game plan is going to be take that away. So just being a little proactive about that approach.
Can you talk about Detroit a little bit and from there and how much has changed since you've left him?
Well, it's been a while. 5 years. I was looking at it. Kellen was there with me for a couple of those years. We're looking at there's a lot of different. Looking in their like their media stuff. There's a lot of different people at every level there. Players and personnel people. Obviously, coaches are different. So we had a great experience when we were there. Had some really good friends. In fact, my wife, unfortunately, just went up there and her best friend passed away this morning. So tough day for us.
Are they number one in part against the pass because teams are running the ball so effectively on them? Do those stats kind of relate to each other?
Sometimes this early in the season, sometimes that's kind of a stat you just keep an eye on. But I think it's because they're pretty good in the back end and well coached, and they really spend a lot of time. I remember they were playing a team last week that is pretty confident they can throw the football pretty well, right? And they got a guy that used to be there, knowing that they defend this pass, make them maybe do the other thing, and it was really a masterful job of defending his old team. So they know what they're doing. I think I think a lot of Coach Patricia and his staff and their approach, and they have some good depth. Their secondary, they got a lot of guys who play in some diamond quarter packages where they got a lot of guys in depth in their back end where they can defend the pass pretty well. So I think it's a real stat.
Do you see tightening the receiver rotation a little bit, or do you want to proceed the way you've been?
I think there will be a little bit more of, I guess, a consistent receiver rotation. It's now we're in the fourth game of the year. Exactly what that is would be a little more strategic information, but I think that's really might be something that can help us.
Can that help you call plays a little bit better or worse or easier?
Well, I just think us going out and playing and executing will help everybody in whatever role they have on this team. So, yeah, I believe that's true.
Terrence's role has been drastically different from what it's been his first four whatever years. What's the explanation behind it? Is it his health? Is it just other guys that you want to see?
No, I think for me, Terrence, he was very slowed by his recovery. He missed the entire offseason and was limited in what he could do in training camp with the certain cuts you can make with that injury. That's a tricky injury for a receiver, for any player, but receivers that have to cut. So I think it was slowed a little bit there. I think he's certainly making a lot of improvement in getting back to his old self. So hopefully we can see him in an increasing significant role as we move forward.
Back to the Lions, working for them against New England, and how do you anticipate them using this?
They were just making them be patient, and they played a lot of zone, a lot of just if you want to run it, you can kind of a mode, and they got a little lead, so it's hard to go back to that run game after you get a little behind, and so they got relying on their pass game, which is a really very good pass game. But I just felt like they were just making them have to dink and dunk it, and to have to drive the ball. If they were going to drive the ball, have to drive the ball multiple plays to score, which is really difficult to do in this league. And thought obviously they executed their game plan very well.
On the note of if you want to run it, you can. Do you think that's how Seattle played y'all last week?
I think they played us pretty typical of how they would play us every time we played them. I mean, they run their defense is like ours. They're going to play that. They're going to play that 8-man front stuff. But I think they were a little bit more inclined to give us some things. I think the guys did a good job of even though we got behind in the second half, some of our run production came there. Even on the long run was our best run of the game. So I think we're getting some of that stuff just because of the schematically we're running things that give the quarterback a run and a pass. That you get one less run player to the party if they're defending that. So I think that's helped us.